Hey folks, I'm back here with Heather to talk to you about what is coming up for this week ahead here, as we're all dealing with the stay-at-home order, which now I think we're 1 month into this now. And so Heather and I have been doing a million interviews. We already have some done this week, so we're going to tell you what is planned for the rest of this week and this weekend. And we're right in the middle of what we believe is the peak of COVID-19 here in Essex County. At least we hope so. And maybe as the trend is starting to show, we're going to begin that downward slide soon. So fingers crossed for that. In the meantime, we have a lot of info to relay to you, including some of this week's guests. We've already had interviews today with Dr. David Rabin, Heather.
We spoke to my husband, Dr. David Rabin. He is a cardiologist at North Shore Physicians Group in Salem. And he talked to us about his 2 shifts over the weekend in the ICU, where there are many ventilated COVID patients. I think there are around 30. And it was a really interesting conversation. This was his first shift in the ICU over the weekend. And he was so touched by the support staff and their dedication, their hard work, their courage. They're in these rooms with these patients, working with them intimately. There's a team in the ICU called the Red Hats. Their job is specifically to turn over the ventilated patients. It's a very involved process because they're ventilated, they have feeding tubes. It's really hard. It's intimate work. They have to know exactly how to do it. They wear red hats. And David was just blown away by how professional and dedicated and caring all these people are. So that's a great interview.
Unbelievable. So that posted at noon today. This is Monday, by the way, so you can look for that. We also spoke earlier today with Taylor Bradford, a reporter for the Gloucester Daily Times, as we do every week. And she talked about a few different subjects, including the spike in the number of cases being confirmed here in Essex County. I think we now have 104 in Gloucester alone. And that was attributed to the fact that there's more testing going on. Then she also touched upon Meadows Field, and that the public commenting has been extended a week, so people can weigh in on that as the consolidation of the East Gloucester Elementary and Veterans Memorial Schools comes to a head. And then we also talked about the potential of rescheduling St. Peter's Fiesta for later in 2020.
Right, that is such a big story. I know so many people are just they don't know whether to make plans or don't make plans. They don't know how to see their summer. They don't know how to see their businesses. And so much of it is sort of pinned down by the start of the summer, which is Fiesta. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens.
We also just spoke with Anne Marie Luster. She is the Dean of Students at Rockport High School, and she talked about the challenges of teaching through Zoom classroom.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Rockport schools have been trying to go Zoom for 4 weeks now. She said it started out with some rough spots, but they have basically integrated the whole school into these Zoom meetings, and the kids kind of welcome it. I mean, there have been some issues, and she was clear about that, but the kids do welcome that. And as you mentioned in our previous conversation, she has a lot of experience with the special ed students. And there have been a lot of challenges trying to meet their needs educationally. And Rockport is doing a great job. Sounds like it.
Mm-hmm. So we'll catch up with her after school vacation week.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah.
And then we'll also have interviews lined up for the rest of this week, including.
Well, I'm hoping to speak with, or you and I will speak tomorrow with Anita Pandolfi-Ruckman. I had done an interview earlier with her. She is a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and we had a really touching and interesting conversation about mental health during these times. And we're hoping to talk to her tomorrow and to follow up on that. And, specifically grief, because there's a lot of professional information out there that says what we are feeling when we're feeling the stress right now is often grief. The grief of having lost so much of our regular lives. So interesting conversation.
Very. And then we have now can confirm that we've scheduled a meeting with Gloucester Chief of Police, Ed Conley, I think of maybe Wednesday this week. Yeah. And that'll be about, I guess there's been a lot of talk about people congregating in public spaces. And we guess we're going to find out the do's and don'ts and how they're policing that. I know that was a big topic over the weekend for sure, especially once as the weather's improving. So that'll be cool to follow up on. And then you want to talk about speeding.
I do want to talk about speeding. I see people speeding. You know, I run every morning and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why are these people driving so fast? And I have seen a few articles that are claiming that speeding tickets are up. So I think that will be an interesting conversation. And the main point is, with this burden on our healthcare system right now, we don't need car accidents. So we'll ask the chief about that.
Gotcha. Okay. Who else are we working on for this week?
Well, we definitely have Karen Carroll, the director of public health in Gloucester, scheduled for Wednesday. Also, we will talk to her about the surge, the spike, the testing, the presence of the National Guard in Gloucester. We have our lovely Manchester by the Sea conversations with Greg Fetterspiel, the town administrator. That's always fun. And Erica Brown, one of our favorites. It's like during the end of the week, we already have favorites, right? And Erica Brown from the Manchester Cricket is a fun conversation.
She's awesome. And I think we do those interviews Thursday mornings where literally the new cricket is hot off the press. And Eric is able to share some of those headlines with us before it's actually printed. So that's really cool. So stay tuned for that. And then we'll circle back later this week with Taylor Bradford again of the Gloucester Daily Times. Do you know what she's supposed to be working on this week?
Yes, she is doing a story on nurses at Addison Gilbert. She's interviewing them to find out not only what their professional life is, but their home life, because, you know, there's the stress certainly tumbles back into your home, right? And the Gloucester Times is also doing a new series on unsung heroes, people in the community who are doing special work and may not be getting the recommendation. So anyone who has anyone they would like to nominate for that, they should get in touch with the Gloucester Times and or Taylor Bradford. And she is always also working on the school committee's decision at the end of the week on prom, the Gloucester School Committee on prom and graduation. So it will be a big decision.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know what Heather and I are actually doing here, we are conducting dozens and dozens of interviews with local leaders, community leaders, and business leaders, and faith leaders, et cetera, just to see how the whole community is sort of coping with the new now. So we're out to a host of other folks and trying to book those interviews this week. I know one is Jim Destino. He's the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Gloucester to talk about the upcoming budget. We're out to various other Gloucester Daily Times reporters, and then some of the folks we've already talked to in weeks past to try to get updates on how they're adjusting to everything. So we really appreciate your time. You can find all the videos that we worked on together on our Facebook page at 1623 Studios, our YouTube channel as well under the same handle, and Instagram. And Twitter, where we have breaking updates there as well, and our website, 1623studios.org, where you can also sign up for our newsletter. So another thing we want to talk about, Heather, is Cape Ann Today, which is a show we formulated to be in the studio space at 11 Pleasant Street in downtown Gloucester, where we moved this in the past few months. But now we're actually trying to formulate that remotely, and these interviews are just probably like the main way we're trying to piece that together.
Yeah, we really enjoy doing these interviews. We had planned to do Cape Ann Today, and then the pandemic happened, and we felt that we could really offer some value by getting these messages out into the community as quickly and succinctly as possible. Now we are trying to come back to Cape Ann, the idea of Cape Ann Today, and say, well, we have these interviews, we have these relationships with these people in all over Cape Ann. It would be really nice to try to create this as one sort of solid piece yet again. So we'll see what that looks like.
And if we ever do get back in the new studio space, the idea is to actually have like a sit-down live show every day at noon, speaking with people in our studio and sharing all the stories that matter to you here in the Cape Ann community. So we really appreciate you sticking with us through all of this, and hopefully you're finding these helpful and beneficial one way or another. So we're looking forward to another great week. We want to thank the Gloucester Daily Times for our partnership together for Cape Ann Today, as well as our sponsor, Jamari Series LLC. So we'll keep working, Heather, right? We got to get back to it here.
Exactly,
right.
Yeah.
Have a great week, everyone.
Take care.